Finally tonight, archaeologists in Egypt made a groundbreaking discovery this week under ancient sands.
It's a huge opening cut into the bedrock. When you do see them, they are the shafts that lead to tombs.
It's not the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. It's the world's first photograph.
The world is full of mysteries that somehow leave us with more questions than answers. From giant stone balls in Costa Rica to a strange, unreadable book, these discoveries make us wonder about the people and stories behind them. Some are ancient artifacts, while others are incredible creations that still baffle experts. Archaeologists have discovered many mysteries that no one was supposed to see. What are these mysteries, and how were they discovered? In this video, we will look into mysteries discovered by archaeologists that no one was supposed to see. Stone spheres in Costa Rica. Scattered across the Diquís Delta in southern Costa Rica are these giant stone spheres. Some have been hanging around since around 600 years after Christ. They're called las bolas, or the balls, by locals, and they were crafted by an ancient pre-Columbian civilization. Most of them are made from gabbro, a rock formed from molten magma.
There are over 300 petrospheres all throughout Costa Rica that are known about anyways. Now, the majority of those are made out of gabbro, which is a type of magma rock.
And experts think these folks carved the spheres into perfect shapes using smaller stones as tools. Pretty impressive, right? Now here's where it gets more interesting. Nobody really knows what these spheres were for. Some say they were used to map the stars, while others think they marked important places.
The theory of the stone balls is that they were somehow used as star maps.
The truth? It's a total mystery. When the Chibchan people disappeared after the Spanish conquest, they took the secret of these spheres with them. Anthropologist John W. Hoops said it best in 2016. This is one historical mystery we might never solve, and this may be because we were never supposed to know. Could they really have been ancient star maps or just fancy decorations? Stick around, because the next list might just blow your mind. Antikythera mechanism. Imagine stumbling upon a real-life ancient gadget that would make even Indiana Jones jealous. That's the Antikythera mechanism for you.
Now, when they found that ancient Greek computer thing, what is that called?
The Antikythera mechanism.
Yes.
Yeah.
A bronze, gear-filled wonder pulled from a 2,000-years-old Greek shipwreck near the island of Antikythera. This shoebox-sized relic is like an ancient Swiss watch, packed with interlocking gears and mysterious symbols etched all over its surface. Initially, folks thought it was just a fancy navigational tool, like an old-school GPS for sailors. But as archaeologists dug deeper, they realized it was actually a super intricate astronomical calendar. This thing could predict celestial events like eclipses and track the lunar calendar with mind-blowing precision.
You then have a crank that you use to rotate to a particular date that then puts everything in the position where they're going to be in the sky. So therefore, you have a device that is calculating both space and time.
In fact, it's so advanced that nothing else like it shows up for another 1,000 years, and the plot thickens. Recent studies suggest that the Antikythera mechanism might have had a lunar calendar with 354 holes, aligning with the Greek lunar year, rather than the 365 days solar calendar as previously thought. Cleopatra's tomb. Cleopatra VII was the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty, which ran Egypt between 305 and 30 years before Christ. She's famous for her sharp mind, legendary beauty, and dramatic love life. She even had kids with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But there's one big mystery about her that still confuses historians. Where was she buried? Cleopatra and Mark Antony both took their own lives after losing to Octavian at the Battle of Actium in 31 years before Christ.
Under the command of Marcus Vipsanius, Agrippa has won a decisive victory over Queen Cleopatra and her slave, Mark Antony.
They were buried together in a tomb described by Plutarch, around the years 45 to 120 after Christ. As lofty and beautiful and close to a temple for the goddess Isis. Sounds pretty fancy, right? But here's the catch. No one knows where this tomb is.
No one knows what happens to her after she dies, or where she's buried.
And even if someone does find it, there's a good chance it could be empty. Grave robbers were super active in ancient times, so archaeologists think the treasure might already be long gone. Qin Shi Huang's tomb. In 1974, farmers in China's Shanxi province made a huge discovery: a life-size terracotta army built for Emperor Qin Shi Huang, 259 years before Christ to 210 years before Christ.
This is the Terracotta Army. 8,000 warriors buried over 2,000 years ago. One of the greatest wonders of the world.
These incredible clay figures were made to protect China's first emperor in the afterlife.
Originally in ancient China, like 3,000 years ago, they believed the afterlife.
But while we know a lot about the army, what's still a mystery is where Qin Shi Huang himself is buried, or what treasures might be hidden in his tomb. A pyramid-shaped mausoleum is located about a mile away from the Terracotta Army, but no one has entered it yet. This tomb is said to be the most lavish ever built in China, with ancient texts describing an underground palace and even a kingdom around it. The tomb has a network of caves and a fancy drainage system, but there's a problem. The tomb contains dangerous levels of mercury, so archaeologists aren't sure when or if they'll have the technology to safely dig it up. What treasures lie inside? That remains a mystery. The next list is actually more than a mystery, and it will blow your mind. Shroud of Turin. Perhaps no archaeological discovery sparks more debate than the mysterious Shroud of Turin, which many people believe to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ.
I think we can be certain that this is the burial wrapping of Jesus.
This long piece of twill fabric has traces of blood and a dark imprint that looks like a man's body. The Catholic Church officially recorded the shroud's existence in the year 1353 when it appeared in a church in Lirey, France. But the legend of the shroud goes all the way back to the years 30 or 33. According to the story, the cloth was first moved from Judea, now southern Palestine, to Edessa, Turkey, and later to Constantinople, now called Istanbul. After Crusaders sacked Constantinople in the year 1204, the shroud was moved to Athens, Greece, where it stayed until around 1225. In the 1980s, researchers finally got their hands on the cloth and used radiocarbon dating to figure out its true age. They concluded that the shroud was actually created between the years 1260 and 1390. In other words, the scientists believed the cloth was probably a medieval fake.
Pretty obvious fake from the Middle Ages.
But some critics argue that the scientists may have dated the newer parts of the shroud that were stitched in centuries after Jesus' death, which could explain why the shroud seems newer than it really is. Voynich manuscript. One of the most famous books of the 20th century was one that no one could understand. The Voynich manuscript, found by an antique bookseller in 1912, is a 250-page book written in a strange alphabet and filled with odd illustrations, from female nudes to medicinal plants and zodiac signs.
What you might not picture is a book filled with whimsical illustrations of nude women in bathtubs. Bathtubs everywhere. These, along with drawings of star-shaped flowers and wild green vines, they're all kind of tucked inside the pages. The mysterious book has been divided into sections by historians.
Currently kept at Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library, this mysterious book is about 600 years old and is believed to have been written in Central Europe. Some scholars think it's just a Renaissance-era prank, full of gibberish, but others argue it's written in a language we don't know yet. A few even believe the manuscript hides a secret code waiting to be cracked. In 2014, Stephen Bax, a professor of applied linguistics at the University of Bedfordshire in England, claimed he had decoded 14 characters from the book.
And in particular, I tried to find patterns in the script linked with pictures, particular pictures, which might give us a clue to proper names in the script.
Bax suggests that the manuscript is likely a nature-focused treatise written in a Near Eastern or Asian language. King Tut's death. Few archaeological mysteries excite people as much as the story of the Egyptian boy Pharaoh Tutankhamun. In 1922, British Egyptologist Howard Carter discovered King Tut's tomb, and ever since, rumors of a pharaoh's curse that killed those who enter the tomb have spread. But the real mysteries surrounding King Tut's tomb are even more fascinating than any curse. Archaeologists believe King Tut died suddenly, possibly from an infection or injuries from a chariot accident. This could explain why his mummy was in such poor condition when it was found. It seems that King Tut's body may have caught fire after his tomb was sealed and his body was mummified. Experts think the linen wrappings, soaked in flammable embalming oils, may have reacted with the air's oxygen and caused a chain reaction, setting the body on fire and cooking it at about 390 degrees Fahrenheit. This strange event could be due to a rushed burial that led to a botched embalming. This hurried burial raises another question. It's possible that King Tut's tomb was originally meant for someone else, and other undiscovered mummies could be hidden in there too. What mysteries can beat this? Stay tuned because we've got more in store. The Rosetta Stone. In 1799, during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign, French soldiers stumbled upon a stone slab near Rosetta, Egypt. This discovery, known as the Rosetta Stone, was inscribed with a decree issued in 196 years before the Common Era during the reign of Ptolemy V Epiphanes. The decree was written in 3 scripts: Greek, Demotic, and Egyptian hieroglyphs.
It was incredibly difficult, and frustratingly, the translations aren't exact. There are differences between each of the 3 texts here, but once one piece was cracked, there was a way in.
The presence of these 3 languages on the stone provided the key to deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs, which had been a mystery for centuries. Jean-François Champollion, a French scholar, successfully cracked the code in the 1820s by comparing the Greek text with the hieroglyphs. Now housed in the British Museum, it remains a symbol of linguistic and historical breakthroughs and continues to draw millions of visitors each year. The Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is a gold-encrusted wooden chest that, according to the Book of Exodus, contains the stone tablets of the 10 Commandments. In ancient times, this sacred box was kept in the First Temple, a Jewish place of worship in Jerusalem. But the First Temple was destroyed in 587 before Christ by a Babylonian army led by King Nebuchadnezzar II, according to the Hebrew Bible. The fate of the Ark remains unknown, and since its disappearance, many individuals, both real and fictional, have searched for it. So far, no one has actually found the holy relic, except for Indiana Jones, of course. Some ancient reports suggest that the Ark was taken to Babylon after Nebuchadnezzar's conquest of the city. Others believe that it was buried somewhere in Jerusalem, or that it was destroyed along with the First Temple. Modern reports hint that the Ark resides in a monastery in Ethiopia. A recently translated ancient Hebrew text also suggests that the Ark of the Covenant will reveal itself, but not until the day of the coming of the Messiah, son of David. Nazca Lines. The Nazca Lines in Peru are a collection of massive geoglyphs etched into the desert floor, depicting everything from animals to geometric patterns. Created by the Nazca culture between 500 before Common Era and 500 Common Era, these designs are best appreciated from the air, revealing their true scale and how complicated they are. For years, archaeologists have pondered their purpose. Some suggest they were astronomical calendars, aligning with celestial events. Others believe they served as pathways for religious pilgrimages, guiding people to sacred sites. Recent discoveries have added new layers to this mystery. Just last year, researchers using artificial intelligence identified over 300 new geoglyphs, including humanoid figures and animals like killer whales. This suggests the Nazca Lines were more extensive than previously thought, possibly indicating a more complicated cultural significance. Despite these advancements, the true purpose of the Nazca Lines is still strange.
It's like your local water utility map on a 1-to-1 scale. This is a complex but effective way of recording knowledge onto the Earth for later generations to use.
Were they astronomical observatories, religious pathways, or something else entirely? The debate continues. The last discovery on this list of archaeological mysteries is definitely not what you might expect: a prison for witches. In 1597, Aberdeen, Scotland, was gripped by a witch hunt that led to the trial and execution of 23 women and 1 man accused of witchcraft. During this turbulent time, St. Mary's Chapel, part of the Kirk of St. Nicholas, became an unlikely holding cell for the accused. An iron ring embedded in a stone pillar in the chapel served as a restraint, chaining the prisoners during their confinement. The chapel's cold and damp conditions made it a grim place for those awaiting trial. The accused were often elderly women, marginalized by society, who were scapegoated for misfortunes like crop failures or illnesses. Today, the Iron Ring remains as a chilling reminder of a time when fear and ignorance led to the persecution of many innocent lives. Which of these mysteries shocked you the most? What more secrets remain unknown in our world today? Uncovering King Solomon's tomb. A team of scientists and archaeologists, led by Iset Mazar from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, discovered the location of Solomon's tomb in the city of David. But before this, in 1986, Dr. Eilat Mazar made a significant archaeological discovery, which she initially dated to the 9th century BCE. This discovery was a monumental gatehouse located about 150 meters north of the city of David, in the Ophel area. At the time, Mazar did not have enough evidence to attribute the gatehouse to King Solomon, and refrained from making such claims. In 2009, Mazar resumed her excavations at the Ophel site.
Now, all over the place, we have Iron Age, like First Temple period, floor layers, you can see.
And with more findings and a better understanding of the structure, she re-examined the dating of the gatehouse. Based on the new evidence, she concluded that the gatehouse likely dated to the 10th century BCE, during the time of King Solomon. Why should we believe this archaeological discovery by Mazar? Keep watching. Dr. Mazar was a brilliant scientist who placed tremendous importance in the scientific method. As an archaeologist, one of her favorite motto is, "We must let the stones speak." The late Herschel Shanks emphasized Dr. Mazar's qualifications in a 2007 Biblical Archaeology Review article. He said, "Nobody would question her professional competence as an archaeologist." Dr. Mazar is often regarded as a biblical scientist.
How can we make things as tangible as possible in light of the biblical stories and the facts and narratives?
As she had no trouble incorporating the Bible into her science, in contrast to the great majority of scientists working today.
And the whole assemblage contains more than 30 bullae. And one of them attracted our special attention.
She was actually rather excited to do so. This is unlike many scientists and scholars nowadays who believe that science and religion are in opposition to each other. Mazar's expertise in the field is therefore a major contributor to this significant discovery. What makes this discovery even more astonishing is that they were not specifically searching for Solomon's tomb. Instead, they were looking for something even larger. Mazar and her team were excavating the oldest part of Jerusalem, aiming to find King David's palace, when they uncovered a large wall segment approximately 210 feet long.
Cave of the Kings in Arabic. What is this place? What is its nature? Who made it? And why? Let's follow Barclay in discovering this magnificent site.
This segment included a gatehouse, a corner tower, and a royal structure. The archaeologists were stunned by the wall's size, suspecting it might be part of an even grander building, such as a temple or palace. They were thrilled by the possibility that this structure was connected to King Solomon's reign. Radiocarbon dating indicated that the site was from the period when King Solomon ruled. Mazar noted that this was the first time they had found a structure from that era that could correspond to the descriptions of King Solomon's buildings in Jerusalem. But could this have been built by another king and not Solomon? Keep watching. Mazar explained that there were not many kings from the 10th century who could have built such a structure, essentially just David and Solomon. According to the Bible, King David, known for his battle with Goliath, was the father of King Solomon and is credited with constructing the first temple of Jerusalem on the Temple Mount. Ceramics discovered near the wall helped date the structure to the second half of the 10th century BC, which was the era of King Solomon. It was discovered that near the gatehouse, 3-foot-tall, 1-meter-tall earthenware storage vessels were found, one of which bore a Hebrew inscription indicating it belonged to a high-ranking government official. Other finds included figurines typical of 10th century BC Jerusalem, such as 4-legged animals and large-breasted women likely symbolizing fertility. Additionally, jar handles with impressions reading "to the king" and various Hebrew names were uncovered. It is therefore important to consider the historical and archaeological significance of this particular discovery. Historical and archaeological significance. Finding King Solomon's temple has been a monumental goal for archaeologists for many years, and the recent discovery of a wall segment in the Ophel area represents a historic breakthrough. The Ophel area is one of the oldest parts of Jerusalem and is believed to be where King David's palace once stood. This discovery has provided new information about the area's history, linking it closely to biblical traditions that state King Solomon, the famous king of ancient Israel, was buried in the city of David. This discovery has significant implications, as it supports the biblical portrayal of Solomon as a powerful monarch ruling a substantial kingdom, contrary to the minimalist view that he was an insignificant tribal leader. The city of David, named after King David, Solomon's father, is believed to be the oldest part of Jerusalem, situated just south of the modern-day Old City. This area is significant because it is thought to be the original settlement where King David established his capital after conquering Jerusalem from the Jebusites. Archaeologists have conducted extensive excavations in this area, uncovering many ancient structures and artifacts that shed light on Jerusalem's early history. The city of David, also known as Wadi Hilwe, is an archaeological site considered the original core of ancient Jerusalem during the Bronze and Iron Ages. Situated on the southern part of Jerusalem's eastern ridge, it lies west of the Kidron Valley and east of the Tyropoeon Valley, just south of the Temple Mount. The site features remains dating back to the Middle Bronze Age, including a defensive network around the Gihon Spring. Significant discoveries include the large stone structure and the stepped stone structure from the Iron Age, with scholarly debate on their association with King David or a later period. But there's even more that was discovered. Among the notable discoveries in the city of David is the Siloam Tunnel, also known as Hezekiah's Tunnel, which was built to bring water into the city. This tunnel exemplifies the advanced engineering skills of ancient Jerusalem's inhabitants. The Siloam Tunnel, traditionally attributed to Hezekiah, has been dated earlier based on recent excavations. Roman period remains such as the Pool of Siloam and the Stepped Street have also been unearthed. Today, the excavated parts are part of Jerusalem Walls National Park, managed by the Israel Nature and Parks Authority and operated by the I.R. David Foundation, located in Wadi Hilwe, which is an extension of the Palestinian neighborhood of Silwan in East Jerusalem, adjacent to an Israeli settlement. Another significant find is the large stone structure, believed by some to be the remains of King David's palace. This massive building, if indeed connected to David and Solomon, highlights the city of David's importance as a center of power and administration during their reigns. While recent discoveries have broken records, including significant artifacts, previous archaeologists struggled to definitively locate any royal tombs belonging to Solomon or his successors. There are several reasons for this historical gap. One potential explanation is that these tombs remained undiscovered, as the city of David is expansive and not all areas had been excavated during earlier efforts. It's plausible that these tombs were still concealed underground, awaiting discovery. Another possibility is that the tombs may have been destroyed or heavily damaged over time due to Jerusalem's tumultuous history of wars and invasions. Ancient structures could have been buried beneath subsequent constructions. But that's not all. Archaeologists persisted in their quest for these royal tombs, recognizing the groundbreaking potential such discoveries held. Unearthing these tombs would provide crucial insights into the rulers of ancient Israel and their burial customs, enriching our understanding of that era. Despite the absence of royal tombs, the discoveries within the city of David were invaluable. They enabled archaeologists and scientists to reconstruct Jerusalem's history and the lives of its inhabitants during the United Monarchy. Each new find expanded our knowledge and clarified the past. Before the tombs were eventually located, numerous compelling theories, such as those concerning hidden chambers, abounded. Let us check out some of these theories and speculations. Theories and speculations about the tomb's location. Before Dr. Mazar's discovery, various theories existed about the location of Solomon's tomb. Some believed it to be beneath the Temple Mount, a site of immense religious significance for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Among Muslims, the Temple Mount is known as Haram al-Sharif, the noble sanctuary. It is believed to be the site where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to the divine presence during the miraculous night journey, riding a winged horse. This event is commemorated by the Dome of the Rock Shrine, one of Islam's architectural marvels. The Temple Mount was a coveted territory, occupied or conquered by various peoples, including the Jebusites, Israelites, Babylonians, Greeks, Persians, Romans, Byzantines, early Muslims, Crusaders, Mamluks, Ottomans, and the British. It has witnessed numerous significant historical events, possibly more than any other 35 acres worldwide. However, archaeologists have had limited opportunities to explore the site for physical evidence to distinguish legend from reality. The site remains an active place of worship, and the controlling authority, an Islamic council known as the Waqf, has long prohibited archaeological excavations, viewing them as desecration. Apart from clandestine surveys of caves, cisterns, and tunnels by European adventurers in the late 19th century, and some minor archaeological work by the British from 1938 to 1942 during renovations of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the historical layers beneath the Temple Mount have largely remained unexplored. Therefore, even if Solomon's tomb is there, it is very difficult to locate it without proper investigation. Theories about hidden chambers beneath the Temple Mount remain just that, unproven theories, due to the lack of concrete evidence. In addition, some historical accounts and traditions mention royal burials near or within the vicinity of the Temple Mount. Ancient texts and stories suggest that kings, including Solomon, might have been buried close to this sacred site, adding to the mystery and theories surrounding the location of Solomon's tomb. One reason for believing Solomon's tomb could be near the Temple Mount is its connection to the First Temple, also known as Solomon's Temple, which was built by King Solomon and was a crucial place of worship for the Israelites. Given the temple's importance, it makes sense that Solomon's burial place might be nearby. But there are even more theories. Some historical texts hint at hidden chambers and secret passages beneath the Temple Mount, suggesting rooms or tunnels where significant items, possibly including the tombs of kings, were hidden. However, without the ability to explore these areas, it is difficult to confirm these stories. Limited archaeological investigations around the Temple Mount have not uncovered definitive evidence of Solomon's tomb. These investigations are often conducted carefully to avoid altering the site. While many interesting artifacts and structures have been found, the mystery of Solomon's tomb remains unsolved. If Solomon's tomb is indeed at the Temple Mount, as some theorists speculate, it would be a significant discovery not only for archaeologists, but also for everyone interested in history and religion. But this isn't the only theory that has existed about the location of Solomon's tomb. What other theories have emerged over time? Keep watching to find out. One significant location is Zedekiah's Cave, also known as Solomon's Quarries, a 5-acre underground limestone quarry under the Muslim quarter of the Old City of Jerusalem. Spanning 5 city blocks and carved over thousands of years, it is believed to have provided the stone for King Solomon's first temple and is the largest quarry in Jerusalem. The strong, erosion-resistant Meliki limestone was well suited for royal buildings. The cave has a rich history, with legends of King Zedekiah hiding there from Babylonian soldiers and associations with the Freemasons, although these are mostly speculative. The cave is now open to the public with guided tours, although some areas remain closed for safety or ongoing excavation. Another speculated site is Zedekiah's Cave, also known as Solomon's Quarries. This vast underground limestone quarry has historical links to King Solomon, and local lore suggests it might contain hidden passages leading to his tomb. The cave's labyrinthine passages and mysterious air make it a compelling candidate for housing the long-lost burial site. Besides Zedekiah's Cave, archaeologists have considered Hezekiah's Tunnel, part of Jerusalem's ancient water system, as another potential hiding place for Solomon's tomb. This tunnel, dug during King Hezekiah's reign to prepare for an Assyrian attack, connects the Gihon Spring with the Pool of Siloam. It passes under the city, exposing sections of the western wall and featuring historical sites like Warren's Gate. Other proposed locations for Solomon's tomb include Mount Zion, traditionally associated with the city of David. However, this theory is based on a misconception. King David's actual burial site is in the southeastern area of Jerusalem's Old City, known as the City of David. French archaeologist Raymond Weil's early 20th century excavations in this area uncovered structures he believed to be royal tombs. While Mount Zion is traditionally associated with King David's burial, it is now believed that David was buried in the City of David, south of the Temple Mount. Consequently, the notion of Solomon's tomb being on Mount Zion is widely regarded as inaccurate. Archaeologists and scientists aren't the only ones who have proposed theories about the location of Solomon's tomb before its recent discovery. Some scholars have suggested Mount Zion, a hill in Jerusalem traditionally associated with the City of David, as a potential site for the royal tombs of the Davidic dynasty, including Solomon. However, this theory is based on a misconception. The widely held belief that King David is buried on Mount Zion is inaccurate. In reality, King David was buried in the southeastern area of Jerusalem's real Old City, south of the Temple Mount, in an area known today as Ir David, the City of David. According to 1 Kings 2:10, the Bible states that King David died and was buried in the City of David. It further states that David ruled over Israel for 40 years. He also ruled over Hebron for 7 years and Jerusalem for 33 years. After that, Solomon ascended to his father David's throne and established his rule. Despite this, Zion appears in the Tanakh as a reference to ancient Jerusalem. During the Middle Ages, Byzantine pilgrims mistakenly identified the hill south of today's Old City's Armenian quarter as part of ancient Jerusalem and named it Mount Zion. The city captured by David was actually on a lower hill to the south of the Temple Mount. This lower hill was the site of the Jebusite city, which became King David's capital and constituted the whole of Jerusalem for over 200 years, until it gradually expanded westward to include the area known today as Mount Zion. The erroneous notion that King David is buried on Mount Zion persisted for centuries. During the 2nd century CE, Jerusalem was razed, Jews were banished, and the knowledge of King David's tomb's actual location was lost. The first clue to the royal burial site's location comes from the Bible, which states that King David, his son King Solomon, and the kings of Judah who followed for the next 150 years were buried in Ir David. This likely refers to a subsection of the modern-day area known as the City of David. In 1913, French archaeologist Raymond Weil excavated what he believed to be tombs in Jerusalem's City of David, possibly the royal necropolis of the earliest Old Testament kings. Some scholars have since disputed this claim, but archaeologist Jeff Zorn's examination of the evidence suggests Weil might have been correct. While King David's tomb has been mistakenly identified with a location on Jerusalem's Mount Zion since the time of the Jewish historian Josephus, 1st century CE, earlier biblical references indicate that David and many other Old Testament kings were buried near the southern end of the City of David in ancient Jerusalem. But where exactly? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.